Welcome to the Unfiltered Path Podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences. We offer our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission here on the Unfiltered Path Podcast is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth, enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be moved, to be inspired, and discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach. I take my clients from survival mode to thrival. Thank you for listening to the Unfiltered Path Podcast. I am joined here with my co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle, and I am an Aerialist. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people to do it too. And I'm here with my co-host.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Duval-Valüd Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies proven to make you more successful with your business. And I am super excited this morning or today on this podcast to be joined by an awesome guest, very special to me.
Oh, I'm Neil Duval. I surreptitiously share a last name with one of your hosts. Graham is my son. I'm a recently retired physician, and at a place in my life where I'm reflecting more than planning, and avid meditator. So, and I've listened to all of the podcasts. Thought it would be fun to come on, and graciously was invited.
It's our blessing that you're here, Neil. I think that you are going to have so much wisdom and inspiration and motivation for us. Just what we talked about initially, which was we're all on this path heading towards where you are. So I'm really excited personally for this conversation.
Most definitely. Yeah, I love how you summed up, what you recently retired and more reflecting and kind of the different avid meditation. Like I'm glad that you've listened to all the podcasts. That's super exciting. And so we're super excited you're here. I'm super excited that you're here. So
I don't think I've had anyone say, "Oh, I've listened to all of them." I think that's the first.
Kidding.
Yeah. So I'm like, "Oh my God, he knows me." Okay.
Yeah, I could read the intro without even having it. So
I love that. Hey, Sean. Huh?
We should have had Neil introduce the podcast.
He said, I love how you said that you're reflecting versus planning. Do you feel like you've done that in multiple areas of your life, not just at retirement? And if so, like what were those other scenarios that made you kind of
like? Do you mean at multiple times in my life, or am I reflecting?
Yeah, like you seem so intentional. I'm currently reflecting versus planning. So have you done that before in your life? And, I can see why retirement would pivot the brain to do that. But I'm curious if that you've ever gone through that pattern earlier in your life.
Yeah, that's a very probative question, isn't it? It's I'd like to say that I've done it multiple times in life, but the truth of the matter is I probably haven't. And I think that's the reason for that is kind of ideally why I wanted to talk to you all today, because there's no time, when you're where you are, there's only so many hours in a day, and things need to be cut to fit your day. And the thing that generally gets cut is reflection. And sleep after that, so there really isn't much time. And it's too bad, because it's, I don't want to say it's, the reflection has made me sad, because it hasn't, but it's brought up a lot of things that I wish would have gone differently, and I should have done this, and and it's too late to do that now. So, yeah, can I just elaborate on that?
That's good. Yeah.
Because I think it was Trinity. I think I told you that if I start rambling, just to tell me to shut up, it won't hurt my feelings. But I'm a child of the '60s and '70s. Cat Stevens and Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle, and all that. And I knew, starting my career, what was important in life. What's important? Your family, your kids. I knew that. We all know that. And I promised myself I'm not going to be one of those guys that's never home. And then the career starts, and you all are at the place where this first started happening to me, that the career is exciting, and you have control over it, and you're praised for it. You can set a goal, achieve it, celebrate yourself. Other people celebrate you. It's addictive, and so you do more, and you set higher goals, and then you start to realize, I should be spending more time at home. But then you start telling yourself, I'm doing this for my family. I'm making money so that my kids can go to school, and I'm making money so that I can provide for my family. And you start talking yourself into the fact that, yeah, not only is this okay, I'm a hero for doing it, and then you realize that maybe not, maybe, and it's not to say that that's wrong, because because you do provide. The family does need to be provided for, and the career is important. But let's face it, you both have kids, right? Danielle and Trinity. Nobody ever comes to your house and gives you an award for changing the best diaper, and the kids scream, and they're exhausting, and there is no thanks for it. And you know in your head that it's important, and you know in your head that it's where you need to be spending your time. But say, somebody's got to provide for them, so I'm off to work, and there you go. And there was one show you had where you were all talking about something similar, like setting goals. I think it was the energy guy. I forget his name. But anyway, about taking time versus working. And, I heard a lot of, I'll have time once I've achieved my goals. But I guess what I want to tell you is, I'm your future coming back to talk to you, and it's there's always going to be another goal, and you're never going to you're never going to say, no, I'm not going to do that goal. I know everybody will think I'm great if I do it, and I know I would feel really pumped if I did it. But even though pooping the diaper is not where I want to be right now, I know that in the long run is where I need to be.
Well, kids better not be pooping in their diapers, or we're But that was really inspiring. Well, maybe not inspiring per se, but it certainly affected me when you said it's addictive. You're getting praised and acknowledged, and we do hero-like work. Like, where you really said we might even have a hero complex. I completely actually relate to that, because we help people. So we have a purpose and a need to push beyond our regular for other people. And we all use that as a driving force to be who we are. But it is addictive. And I guess I hadn't seen it like that. And this was a great reminder.
Yeah, that stuck out to me too. And like, I actually was just talking with my counselor the other day, and like, that's one thing that I'm like constantly keeping in the forefront of my mind, because like there's so much that like that not being in check, regardless if it's still being productive and positive for someone like myself, can end up turning into the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So it's super important to still keep that in mind. And like, I was talking with one of my coaches the other day, and I said the same exact thing that you just said. I'm like, there's not enough time in the day. Like, where is the time? Like, I feel like I woke up, worked on this thing, and the next thing you know, we're here 7:00 at night doing this thing. And so like, we started just like working on different, like, how to think about making the decision of what I'm doing specifically for in my business at the time of like, is it like urgent, or, is it something that brings, like, when you do it, it can't be undone. Like, for example, if you send a message, to a prospect, it's sent, you're done, you know what I mean? Or is it something that brings you closest to the cash flow? And so like, anything else, you can kind of gauge at where it falls in necessity. And so like, thinking that on the things I need to do, it just was like, okay, now that's how I can kind of think about my day a little bit more. But yeah, the addictive side is definitely something that is like constantly on the front of my mind, because especially as an entrepreneur, is like built for someone like myself, just like hustling all the time,
Yeah.
I think it's all about balance for sure. You know what? I love, Neil, I love that you're bringing this conversation right now. May last year was a very like one of, we can pinpoint those valley moments in our life where we're like, ooh, those were like really transformative. May last year was that transformative moment for me, because I was exactly where you were talking about, not prioritizing family at all. I was like that hero mode, like I'm creating all of this for my family. It doesn't matter that I'm not present right now. And everything kind of like came to a front. I took a business trip. I came back and everything just like hit me right in the face, like smack dab in the face. And June, July, and a little bit of August was those transformative months where I made decisions to cut back, to shift, to reprioritize. And I've spent this last 8 months after those transitions figuring out the balance between everything that I am dedicated to, everything that I'm passionate about, and making sure I'm reprioritizing. Because how can I, as the coach, teach others the balance and the prioritizing and self-care and self-love if I'm not practicing that myself? And so in a way of being a coach, like it holds me accountable to that. And so when I am structuring my days now, and again, a year ago, this was not true, but when I'm structuring my days now, I'm focusing on me first, because I know that me as my best self is a better mother, is a better partner, is a better business owner, is a better mentor, fill in the blank. And so me first always comes first, with no guilt, no doubt, no nothing, always, no matter what. And then family comes second, being present, because we are so blessed to be entrepreneurs and be able to have that flexibility. And I remember working, and this was just like 3 years ago, I remember working 14-hour days. I didn't see my kid once on those days. And so looking back at that, you reflect, just as you're talking about, you reflect on those days and you're like, wow, I really need to shift this, or I need to give more gratitude for this moment. And so restructured. Now, I am not saying that it's perfect. There are days, but I have the awareness to recognize those days, because I feel off. I recognize the off feeling is me saying, okay, I really need to stop, pause. I need to take 30 minutes to look at my schedule. Like, where is the unbalance coming from? Is it a little bit of guilt coming in from last year? Like, am I being triggered by something? I think reflection is so important. Tell us a little bit more about the reflection and how you structure your reflection now. And if you had any reflection in your busy years, how was that structured?
Well, first off, hats off to you if you put me first, because that is really, really difficult because, again, in a day that's already too full and things have to be cut, the me it's right up there on the cutting list, with the idea that, well, I can always do me later, and take care of everybody else first. But taking care of me is taking care of everyone else. My reflection, I think, is born from meditation practice, I think, in the sense that, when one is trying to quiet the mind, things keep it from becoming quiet. And that would be, I think that would be the definition of reflection, things that demand to be heard and will only be heard if you quiet yourself to the point where you can't drown them out anymore. So if you're asking, do I sit down and say, now it's reflection time, I don't do anything like that, but I do have a whole lot more time to myself, which is awesome. I have a friend, Charlie, who told me that he retired a couple years before me. He told me that if he said you can't have any guilt. He says in retirement, he said you paid your dues, you're done, because it's so great.
That does feel guilty.
It's so great that it is guilty.
Oh, it does. Like, it's interesting to identify, no, you're really here at this point.
That's right. I should be suffering. So yeah, that's where that came from. And as you asked earlier, Danielle, had I reflected along the way, I wish I would have, talking about, again, things have to be cut. I mean, because there really are so many hours in a day, and the work. And I imagine for you guys where you're, in the entrepreneurial mode, it's for you, right? I mean, so where every extra hour you work is an extra hour you're working for you. So you could we can talk ourselves into almost anything, right? And
gosh.
Yeah. Well, I know I said I was going to put me first, but this is me. It's my business. That's what I want to do. That's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I can laugh at those things now because I see them more, because I have more time to see them. But the way the brain works to justify what you want, I want to work longer. I know I said I was going to go on a hike, but this is kind of the same, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point that we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's really how we use them to their fullest potential. Like, I have people say all the time who think that they know everything of what I do, but they really don't. No one really knows. How do you have time for that? Like, how do you have time to hike, or how do you have time to do this or do that? And you're right, because you can talk yourself into and you can talk yourself out of anything, which is why I love the power of mindset, because when you realize that, when you truly realize that, it's life-changing.
And you're like a brain reprogrammer. I didn't vamp up how we discuss what you do for work, because I really think that it's so much you help people reprogram their brain while maintaining your own process and then reflecting and sharing. I just wanted to say that, because I feel like if somebody just doesn't get it and they're listening to you, I just think that approach would be resonate with more people. Because we have responsibility to do that. At some point, we have to say, okay, that happened. First of all, not what happened to me. And the way to actually live out that truth is to live outside of what happened, right? And that a lot of times take reprogramming. You have to reprogram something that you weren't even intended to program. And it doesn't feel fair, or we don't have time to do it, or it's not a priority, but it's utmost. I'm a divergent, so I have to do it when I wake up. The process starts the moment consciousness clicks. I don't sleep, I dream. and I remember them. So, like, I don't know what journey I'm living, but it's taken some serious effort to, like, keep myself going throughout the day. So, like, I deeply value what you do because that's what it is. It's programming the mind.
Yeah. It reminds me too. I was watching this thing online the other day. There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he like does like triathlons and hikes mountains and all this stuff in his shorts and bare feet. And it's just like that, pushing the physical like manifestation of what a human is versus the mind spiritual of what a human is. You know what I mean? Because if that is in like full control and centered and programmed to the max, like it can overcome all those other things. And to see like something like this guy, what he's doing, like climbing to base camp on Mount Everest in his shorts and bare feet, like that's just wild, and
what I do. Not to that extreme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the master mind that I start to understand is when the body's going through XYZ and how to overcome. Because after 6 months of aerial arts, it's pain tolerance. That's what I tell people. Like after that, you know some base stuff. It's how much more pain can you tolerate to learn the next thing.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it is. And that's what art becomes. And so a lot of times that's where I feel like I do have that kind of mind power, or at least like an awareness to be able to other people, right? Is within the body and the natural natures of how we assume we're supposed to be. And then I see a 53-year-old climbing in the sky, defying everything that I had been taught prior to, self-included. Like I was hanging on the back of my ankles a couple years back, and I had never done that in my 20s. It's because I had 2 natural births, and I realized like pain and understanding how to overcome that in the moment and to tolerate it to the point where sometimes it's almost like non-existent.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's practice for sure. It's cool though. The human avatar is like really driven by will. We have such a sub-minimal comprehension of what these avatars can do. Like we are so still vibrating low as a collective in terms of how much and we see moments like that where that could almost be more normal.
Right.
See what I
mean? Exactly. And striving to those points where like even to like where you are, Father, that where like you're at a point where you have that time and you really get to push like that mind side of things and come to some of those realizations where it's a little bit more difficult in the midst of like daily life of like running a business, having a family, and doing all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little subtle, though. Because Danielle, when I hear you speaking like that, it's the pain tolerance is important when it's a tool, not when it's an end.
Right.
How much pain can I tolerate? As opposed to I'm tolerating pain as a tool to achieve a thing, because we can become addicted and our lives can go off track for anything. We can become addicted to not being addicted, and
that's how gym life. Gym life.
Right.
There was a famous Buddhist years ago who coined the phrase spiritual materialism. And it's like when people would, do their chanting and it's all spiritual, but really what it was just show. It was, some people can do those.
Church and its concept of as a whole, not completely to shun it, but what I mean is when people identify with, well, I go to church, there's like, wow, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Quite that way. I feel shifted. like, or kind of seen, like I need to chill because I'm very spiritual. So,
well, two people can do the same thing. Two people can go to the same church at the same time to the same service. For one person, it's a deeply moving experience, and for the other, it's a make sure everybody sees me. And
Right. That's a good point.
Go back to what you just said. This is like sticking with me. It's the pain tolerance and making sure that the pain that you are currently going through is getting you to your best, truest self, right? And so, because I truly believe that everything happens. I mean, I know this is a cliche, but everything happens for a reason. You could take that so much.
Yeah.
Everything happens for us, and literally everything. I've been through so much trauma in my life and seen so many people go through and help them through the healing process of their trauma, that I still truly believe that. Like, there has not been one circumstance, and I've seen a lot of really crappy circumstances that I don't believe that still. But I think it's having, like, that is a deep level of self-awareness, is asking yourself, what am I tolerating? Yeah.
So, like, he's identifying that sometimes trauma or pain reoccurs because we have a higher tolerance for it, and we're really just allowing the behavior to happen again. I got that right? Yeah, deep. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that because just even on being on the other end, right? Like, how that too is addictive. I feel, and as an addict background, I don't like to identify that. First of all, I'm a programmed human. I was designed technically to be crap in this universe. The fact that I'm anything above that is just awesome. So, I don't even know where I was going. I'm so sorry. I just kind of like,
pain tolerance.
Oh, pain tolerance, and we're all programmed. So I believe that the real, like, evil of the world per se is a loop of low energy, and we stay in that place like this for long periods of time because we have high pain tolerance, right? Like, we have a tolerance for where we're at, and it's not necessarily getting us to the best place. Is what you really pointed out.
I love that you brought up the energy. So I went to an energy healer last weekend. First experience with an energy.
Very cool.
It was really want-opening. But when you say low energy, like, it gives me the like goosebumps now, because I almost want to, like, build a shield to the low energy in the world, because I can see my high energy and I know that it, like, sucks it from me, and I don't want to have experience with low energy anymore, because it's so draining, and it's like, you know that it's not your highest life when you feel that low energy, right? And so, answer this question for me. Do you realize when you are being around someone or something or circumstance that is low energy? Do you guys feel it?
Almost instantly. And then if I like them because I'm used to them being in my life or something, sometimes it'll take a little bit, but then once I identify, I'm like, oh, you knew in the moment. And it is and I always see it, like, with someone's or self, it's a pattern. Like, when one thing he said that I felt like I ran into a low vibrational energy, and they were almost like a kind of clawing at mine, is the way I described it to someone else, or like pecking at it. Like, when I'm, like, giving good news, and or not even good news, but I'm having there's a scenario, right? And she's one of those people I feel like shows up to be seen at somewhere instead of, and I feel like that the person I care about is in a pattern of just being seen and liked by the right people, and not necessarily.
But it's still such a low energy, right? I think we start to realize when we step into because I love this conversation about true selves and authentic selves. And I'm reading a lot of Brene Brown books and studying her research, is like stepping into that vulnerability to be ourselves. And I think that the more we do that, the higher vibrational and energy that we have. And I think what happens is you start to realize that a lot of people or situations that are around you that you thought were neutral energy or good energy, like, you start to realize that they're really not. And they're kind of like that drain, like that that slow plug that's just, you didn't even realize was there. Like that slow drain. Yeah, like sometimes you fill the bathtub and the bathtub like doesn't really completely stop it from draining, and it's just like slowly. You don't really realize sitting in the bathtub and it all of a sudden you're like, there's no water in here. Do you notice? Do you notice those people more in your personal development, that they're coming out more? And Graham, I'm assuming, I probably shouldn't assume, but you have a really great energy about you, and I from Neil as well, and I think that you two have that in common. Tell me a little bit, when I'm talking about this, what does it start?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for myself is like, we talk about some of those key moments that you can just like reflect on in life where it's like, oh man, that point, like we were at that point. And like, I have a distinct memory during 15 years of like blackout, basically, where someone told me that I could basically clear out a room because of the like negative energy that I was emitting in just like where I was. And like that just like stuck with me. And so coming to like where I am now, I can fill a room with the energy, or dissuade the people who have that low energy, you know what I mean? Because like it definitely freaks some people out. I will say, like the people who are not at that level, it triggers them. Like if they have like things that are like healed, like it'll trigger, past traumas and things like that. And like I've seen that happen, and like it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
I just reconciled with a friend, right? And we just kind of cleared the air, whatever. And she had told me she had moved out of my life because of a story from my background. She judged it so harshly because of an experience she was having with her husband in that moment, to the point where for years, and I thought it was me. I was like, I don't know, maybe was something wrong with me. And literally it was 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, I had no idea. She could have not told me. But I also think too, though, it's reflective because we're not saints of spirituality, right? And so if someone's draining us, it's like, okay, so where am I draining someone else? Also, like, right? So like, who am I neglecting? Who loves me so much that I'm draining their tub because I'm forgetting that or I've been in groups and scenarios where I have these relationships I'm feeding all the time out of responsibility, but they're not feeding into my cup. So I've been giving all this time and energy out of pattern, and really they weren't the people that were pouring into me. I've like really been, you know what I'm saying? And then I feel like I notice it like, oh, my kids need me more. It's usually my kids' tub. I need to go and make sure I'm not neglecting them. But like, even really solid friendships, I think sometimes being an entrepreneur, we feed our network, but are we feeding our friends that aren't in a network?
It's very easy. It's easy, and I wish I've never done this, but I do all the time. It's very easy to judge somebody from the worst thing they've ever done in their life, and they become that, and that's all you ever see of them. No matter 20 years of great acts, completely wiped away by one bad decision. But when you speak about this low energy thing, I have part of me was laughing because we occasionally would see patients like that in the office, and we'd come out saying it's like being in a room with a Dementor from Harry Potter. They just suck all the joy out of you.
Yeah.
You feel like you're never going to be happy again. But when you're around those kind of people, though, there's, if you're truly on the path, or if I'm truly on the path that I'd like to be on, there is some responsibility there, because those people are generally in a very, very bad place. And people, they say to diagnose depression, it's, do you feel depressed when you're in the same room with them? And and so sometimes I think there is a responsibility to force ourselves in the spirit of awareness into those situations as a lifeline, And
Yeah.
I'm still here. I don't have to be with you when you're like this, but you know what? I'm here. And if you need something,
That's why we pray for our enemies.
Yes.
Your enemies, and again, this is
You know what I mean, like quotation.
Yeah.
from the Buddhist background. Again, they say that your enemies are your biggest tools on the path, because if everything went your way all the time, you wouldn't have anything to work on.
Yeah.
If somebody can make you mad, that gives you the opportunity to stand back and say, why does that make me mad? What is it about me that is making me mad?
One of the first things I tell my clients, because I learned so much for that, Neil, is that I'm probably going to annoy you because I'm going to be very excited about your valleys. I'm going to be like, because we have to, I think we are in a society that when it happens, which it does all of the time, we're in life, so that's like literally what's supposed to happen. Because it's here to teach us, but we're in a society that teaches us to turn the other way, to be mad, to disown, to go do everything but
Revenge.
Yeah. Judgment, all of these things. And instead of pausing, because we always have time to pause, always have time to pause and say, what is this here to teach me? What is this person here to teach me? How can I move forward? How can I grow? I may need to heal. So a lot of these times is, I'm going to Colorado next week, and the session that I'm teaching is called Healing, Growing, and Impacting, because these things that we go through, a lot of times it brings up trauma or identifies places we need to heal. And then from our healing, we grow. And from our growth, we impact. And that impact looks different for everyone. If I personally didn't heal and grow, I wouldn't be here making an impact. If Danielle didn't personally heal and grow, she wouldn't be where she is making an impact. And same thing for I don't even know you, and I know just with the work that you did, Ed, I am sure you had to go through some of that at some point to get to the impact that you were making. And Graham, look at the healing and you did to get over. You are incredible, right? And so I love this podcast because I hope that we bring to our listeners the inspiration and motivation to feel the crap, heal from it, give grace to yourself, sit in the feelings for a minute. When we had Dr. Locke on, we talked a lot about that, which is just feel the feels for a second. It's okay to feel the feelings. We have to stop beating ourselves up for the feelings. And then we have to recognize when it's time to say, okay, let's heal. And healing is hard. And then we have to grow. And then we find our impact. We find our purpose through what was this here to teach me is really, what was this here for me to make an impact with?
Most definitely. I think that's super cool too, because especially when your father, I can't call you Neil. I just can't. I can't be like. But when you talk about that responsibility that is, to kind of be there for those people, I resonate with you, Trinity, when you talk about this podcast. Potentially, that's kind of what we're doing here, and I feel that for anybody who may be listening, for that exact reason, that these are the things that unfiltered journey, path of life, that we go through stuff, and we've been through stuff, and and then we end up where you are. So but yeah.
I hope you end up where I am, because it's great.
I love that. Neil, as we wrap up, what is one tip that you would provide to us, our listeners, as far as living in the present moment and not waiting until the retirement chapter to either enjoy or fully experience or reflect? What is one tip that you would want to pass on?
I would say honest observation. Because throughout my life and my career, when I could observe what was happening in my life and but not be honest about it. Yes, I'm not at home. I get it. This is terrible. And stop before getting to the point where this is not right. This is not where I want to be. So yeah, honestly observe. And it's really, really hard. And, and when I was first starting to think about this, I thought, I don't want to come off as like a downer to anybody, because where you are right now is, it's almost, to me, even looking back on it, knowing what I know now, I would have found it nearly impossible, to do what I know now should have been done. But I think honest observation, if you can honestly tell yourself, yes, I am looking at this, and what is the honest takeaway from it? This probably would be the take home.
That's awesome. And hopefully this podcast helps with some of that honest observation with all our listeners. Take some of these things that we talk about from multiple seasons of what we've been, talking about here on this unfiltered journey, and honestly observe what you got going on. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them on our Facebook group, or reach out, or and we can talk about it here, and we can all start this conversation here, because that's part of one of the things that why we're even doing this. So I want to thank all our listeners for listening this morning. This has been an awesome conversation. I super appreciate it. You coming on this morning, Father. And my name is Graham Duval, owner of Valued Productions. You can find me online, valuedproductions.com, VALUD productions.com. Same thing with social media at Valued Productions. And joined with my awesome co-host this morning.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity Baker. Danielle said it perfectly. I'm a brain reprogrammer. Let's live your best life, because it all starts with the mindset. It really does. It's not changing things on the outside. It's turning inward and really harnessing what we have on the inside. So you can find me on all social media platforms, The Trinity Baker. And that's also my website, thetrinitibaker.com. And I am joined here with my amazing co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerialist. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. You can reach me on aerialj.com. That's Ariel, like aerial view, not the princess, while I do have red hair. You can live chat with me on my website, which I just love. And of course, you can find me on platforms, particularly the Unfiltered Path Podcast. And we are here you were just dropping the gems. I'm trying to remember them all. And I was like, oh, I definitely have to go back and get those out of the episode. But Niels, you did great today. Oh,
great. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah. Neil Duval, proud to be here. I really am honored. This is a great show you guys put on. So kudos to you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And make sure you tune in next week for the Unfiltered Path Podcast. We'll see you next time.